Welcome back to Capital Report. I'm Matt Swenson. This is State Representative Roger Reinert. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you, Matt.
Good to have you back in the studio. Good to have you folks tune in at home to hear what's happening here at the state capitol and to hear what Representative Reinert is doing on your behalf. And I know that the state economist Tom Stinson came out last week, revised the state budget forecast. It is $200 million better, bringing the state budget deficit to $1 billion, but still some very serious fiscal problems here at the Capitol.
Yeah, and you know, the good news is not the new revised forecast. 1.2 to 1 billion, you know, I guess it's not insignificant, but it's not a substantial change in terms of a $35 billion state budget. The good news in the new forecast is that it appears we found the bottom of the recession. You know, one of the frustrating factors in this recession has been essentially, for the first time since the Great Depression, Minnesota has lagged the national economy. We went into recession first. We're expected to take longer to come out of it than the national average, and that's going to have, you know, significant implications for Minnesota. So while it's slightly good news that we're trying to fill $1 billion hole this year instead of a $1.2 billion, you know, we still have a $7 billion problem waiting for us in the next biennium, and probably a multi-billion-dollar problem waiting for us the biennium after that. You know, and I think some of our challenges are going to be that as the economy recovers, folks are going to be seeing improvement hopefully in their personal lives and in their communities and in certain economic sectors, but the state will still be struggling. And there's two big reasons for that. They are income tax and sales tax. The state gets its revenue primarily from those two sources, and of course if folks aren't making money, they're not paying income taxes. And if folks aren't making money, they're probably not buying things. So that means both income tax and sales tax revenues for the state are down. And the state economist Tom Stinson said, you know, we expect to lag behind the economic recovery by 18 to 24 months. So while people will be out there feeling like things are getting better and things are turning around, we're still going to be wrestling with massive budget deficits here at the state. And you know, I'm sure some folks are going to be wondering, what the heck are they doing in St. Paul? Things are better, and you know, there's still budget problems. And that's just the reality of how economics work. Money starts in with local folks, and then it ends up in the state coffers via the income and sales tax before the state can invest it in the programs and priorities that we care about. So, you know, we still have quite a bit of struggle. And Tom Stinson told us back in December that it will probably be 2016 before Minnesota is back to where it was in 2006. So, you know, when we are able to look back, most experts predict for Minnesota this recession will have been a decade long.
And like you said, State Economist Stinson indicated that we may be coming to the end of this recession, and the recovery, though it will be long and slow, is about to begin. And the jobs numbers really came to prove that last week, that were released last Wednesday, showing that for the 7th straight month in Minnesota, unemployment has dropped to 7.3%, showing in January alone a job gain of 15,600 new jobs, the biggest job gain since 2005.
Right. And of course, we're extremely proud in Duluth that we've actually done better than that. Throughout the entire recession, Duluth has been below the state average in unemployment. We've been below the national average in unemployment. And that really is a credit to city leaders from the last couple of decades who made the initiative to diversify our economy. You know, the fact that Duluth now has a strong aviation sector, a strong higher education sector, a strong healthcare community, combined with the traditional activities of the port, as well as tourism, have all helped diversify the economy in Duluth and helped us stay below those state and national averages. And that's a dramatic shift from the last major recession in the early 1980s, when Duluth had the second highest unemployment rate in the country at 20-some%, second only to Newark, New Jersey. So, I mean, we have reason to be proud in the Northland of the hard work that we've done. You know, it still is not a great time, and we have friends and neighbors that are hurting in this economic downturn. But, you know, we also have some reason to hold our head high and be proud of the work that's been done over the last couple of decades to put Duluth in a better position. And as we look around the country and the region, you know, not every old industrial city, which Duluth definitely is one of, has fared as well as we have.
And I know that you continue at the Capitol here to work on efforts that will create jobs, including a bonding bill and also growing jobs in the private sector through smart tax incentives and effective reforms.
And those are probably the two major things that we can do, especially this session. The bonding bill, of course, has some really acute priorities for Duluth in it. We hear down here they're short-term temporary jobs. But the construction tradespeople that are getting those jobs don't look at it that way, and most of the trades have unemployment over 50% right now. So it's a good investment. It's an investment in our infrastructure, and it helps put some people back to work in an economic sector that is seeing very high unemployment. But secondly, the tax policies that you mentioned are also very important. That's the other big thing the state can do. And as vice chair of the tax committee, we are diving headfirst into the state's tax code. We're trying to figure out, what is the fair and appropriate way to tax. We do things called tax expenditures, where basically you're letting some people off the hook from paying a specific tax. Are those still appropriate? Where are they appropriate? What values and priorities do we want to represent? And then we're also taking a look at the state's business tax code. Minnesota does have some room for improvement on the business side of the equation, but I really believe that out of great challenge comes great opportunity, and I think the opportunity we have here is to take a really comprehensive look at the state's tax code and see where we can make real reform, real change, real difference as we move forward.
Well, thanks so much for coming into the studio today, Representative Reinert,
Absolutely.
and thanks for tuning in at home in Duluth. We'll see you next time on Capitol Report.